Hello students, welcome to Oliveboard. I'm your faculty Rahul Yaduka, and again we are meeting on Wednesday 8 p.m. with some fresh topics to discuss and to see how we can prepare certain questions around them and how we are going to attempt those questions. So please, whoever is watching this video right now, please get in the comment box and assure me if you can see the slides and hear my voice clearly. All right, so I think it's all right. There's no technical problem with this particular session as such. Yeah. So uh, this was the week where we had certain very important events which need to be covered in today's discussion. First of all, it's a very tragic kind of development that has taken place in a particular district of Uttarakhand, state of India, which shares its border with China also. So you know that there is a uh, event or episodic disaster which has taken place, or the disaster is in offing. God knows what is in the package to come. So you know that there is a place called Josimath, and there were news, visuals, etc. coming from that area that there is a sort of fissuring land. Land is getting fissured, or subsidence is happening. There are hundreds of homes in that area. I mean, pakka homes, concretized homes, in which some fissures have appeared on the ground, and the land itself is sinking, right? So it attracted the attention, and the government is in action now. The committees have been organized to see what is happening, and there is deployment of a special task force, disaster response team, border road organization, etc. Various agencies of central government is in working day and night in tandem with the administrative structure of the state government to manage the crisis, right? So this is the first topic that we will elaborately discuss today. And in this first slide, I have added a sort of map of this location because this is very important in objective questions also, in subjective questions also. These nitty-gritties of this location is become very important. So you can see that it is a place which is very close to different historical and culturally significant places like Kedarnath, Badrinath, and then you have Talpeshwar, Nandaprayag. Different rivers are also crossing this area, and there are a lot of hill stations which are located in this geographical region, and they are in a way also very responsible, the causal factors in the creation of this disaster to start with, right? So you should be aware first of all what is in immediate neighborhood of this particular place named Joshimath, why it is religiously important, why it is strategically important, what are the economic and development activities which are taking place in this area, etc. Or Was there some concern shared by the local habitants, or was there some study? What were the environmentalists saying for a long time? Everything we will discuss, and you should keep this in mind, right? So, first of all, uh, you know that this phenomenon of land subsiding is taking place. जमीन जो है वो धस रही है, right? जमीन धस रही है. It means that the land is not that solid, or the land, or the soil, or the uh, rock structure that underlies the soil. You know that there are various layers of the soil. What we see is only the top soil, which is very small percentage of entire earth crust. So beyond that, you have bedrock and different layers of hard soil and subsoil. Subsoil structures are there to sustain the ground. So this land subsidence is taking place. So first inference that we can draw from here is that land is not that solid, right? But before that, we should clearly understand the uh, what developments are taking place in that area, and gradually we will move towards geographical significance. So you know the name of the NH is Rishikesh Badrinath National Highway in Chamoli district of Uttarakhand. So if somebody is asked that where is Joshimath, in which district it is located, so the answer will be Chamoli district of Uttarakhand, and it is in tandem with Rishikesh Badrinath National Highway, which is National Highway number 7. So ordinarily what happens, NH is named in this way that it connects two very significant locations, Rishikesh and Badrinath, and kahin beech mein lies the Joshimath place. So it is a strategically important place for the Indian Armed Forces also. Whenever we use the word strategic importance, it means that it has got to do something with India's security concerns, and not only internal security crisis, but it is something pertaining to international security. Law and order situation in a district is not strategic. The choice of word will be wrong at that place. But since this place, Joshimath, lies very close to international border that we share with China, it becomes strategically important. And what we do, I mean, what does Indian state do in such places? It keeps its deployment of the armed forces. ठीक है, कभी भी आप उन जगहों पर you are not absent on those places because there can be encroachment of your land. So you deploy some kind of battalion over there, you create some kind of check post, you create some kind of uh, surveillance on that area, so on and so forth, right? Next, culturally and religiously, spiritually, it is home to one of the four cardinal mutt or monasteries established by Adi Shankara. So now that Adi Shankara was, I should say, a saint, a philosopher who was in 12th or 13th century, I guess, and then he started transacting the entire length and breadth of the country and established mutt or monasteries in four different locations. So this is one of those four cardinal mutt. Cardinal mutt because there are more mutts. Four of them are very important. Now it is your homework, I would suggest, to figure out what are those four cardinal mutt which are uh, religiously more significant among other mutts or monasteries, and where are they located. This is your homework. So it again this suppose what happens, how does examinations set questions, that because of this Joshi Mutt, the discussion around Cardinal Mutt is also coming. The discussion around Adi Shankara is also happening. So there may be a question on Adi Shankara. So it is up to you how you pick what is to be revised from the discussion on Joshi Mutt. There are culturally important issues which are propping up. There are development related issues which are propping up. International security related concerns. River rivers are there, we will discuss. और disaster management का भी concern है. तो when one issue comes in news, there are various aspects which need to be probed by the students, right? Deliberately, what may happen in the exam, they will ask nothing about Joshimath crisis. They may ask about disaster or earthquake in general or landslides in general, right? So keep this in mind. Next, the town fall in high risk seismic zone 5 is traversed by running streams with a high gradient from Vishnu Prayag, a confluence of the Dhauli Ganga and Alaknanda rivers. Now there is a lot of information in this particular point. So you know that according to different kind of different levels of seismicity, अब जाहिर सी बात है, if the land is very stable, it is not lying above any fault line, it is not lying above the conjunction of any plate or any two different plates, तो वहां पर भूकंप की probability जो होती है वो कम हो जाती है. फॉर इंस्टेंस इंटायर हिमालयन फॉल्ट लाइन, क्योंकि वहां पर यूरेशियन प्लेट और इंडो ऑस्ट्रेलियन प्लेट मर्ज किया है जहां हिमालय है. अर्लियर देयर वाज टेथिस सी. सो वहां पर जो जमीन होगी that will be more prone to seismicity. Right? So based on this different levels of seismicity, different areas of India are mapped. There is a kind of disaster atlas which is prepared by Home Ministry, right? Because disaster management comes under Home Ministry. Of course, different expert bodies will be there, but the overall responsibility lies with the Home Ministry. So एक atlas जैसा वो बनाएंगे. You can Google it and you'll find the different seismic zones in India. So it will be from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So depending on the intensity or depending on the probability, you will find जैसे भुज है. So भुज वहां पर तीन प्लेट्स कन्वर्ज करते हैं. जो हमारा पूरा अर्थ क्रस्ट है उसके अंदर डिफरेंट प्लेट्स मूव करते रहते हैं. इफ यू कैन रीड ज्योग्राफी यू विल फाइंड दिस कॉन्टिनेंटल ड्रिफ्ट थ्योरी. सो देयर आर डिफरेंट प्लेट्स जो वहां मर्ज करते हैं. वहां तीन प्लेट्स हैं भुज में, इसलिए वहां बहुत ज्यादा अर्थक्वेक का ट्रेजिडी हुआ था. नेपाल का फॉल्ट लाइन है, हिंदू कुश हिमालय है. अक्सर आप देखते होंगे कि इफ देयर इज अ पॉइंट ऑफ ओरिजिन, एपिसेंटर ऑफ अर्थक्वेक इन हिंदू कुश और इन अफगानिस्तान, पामीर नॉट, और पूरा का पूरा नॉर्थ इंडिया उससे अफेक्टेड हो जाता है बिकॉज इट इज लाइंग ऑन दैट फॉल्ट लाइन. राइट. सो दिस इज वन थिंग दैट यू नीड टू कीप इन माइंड. जो इस जगह की सेस्मिसिटी है वो बहुत ज्यादा है. ऑन द टॉप ऑफ दैट, एक तो नीचे से ही आपका अर्थक्वेक प्रोन एरिया है. दूसरी बात, ऑन द टॉप ऑफ दिस लैंड a lot of rivers are flowing, and not only multiple rivers are flowing, they are running with a very high gradient. What is high gradient? Now you look at the rivers in near the delta. Rivers निकलते हैं, let's say mountainous rivers, perennial rivers of India. They originate from, let's say, Tibet or Nepal, Kosi River, Ganga, Yamuna, and when they go and converge with Bay of Bengal, तो जब बे ऑफ बंगाल में वो मर्ज करते हैं या when they transcend down from mountainous regions to plain areas, they lose much of the energy. So एक पहाड़ पर नदी बह रही है, उसका स्लोप ज्यादा होगा. ग्रेडियंट इज बेसिकली स्लोप, राइट. सो हाई ग्रेडियंट से जो आ रही है रिवर, जाहिर सी बात है कि इट विल बी मोर स्ट्रॉन्ग टू लीड टू सॉइल इरोजन. एक तो पहाड़ पे आपकी जमीन भूकंप से प्रभावित है, दूसरा उसके ऊपर तेज धारा में नदियां बह रही हैं. सो उस पर जो होल्ड करने की कैपेसिटी है सॉइल को, सॉइल का जो कॉम्पैक्शन लेवल है वो कम हो जाएगा, राइट. And there are much more details in this. Look at this. Uh, there is, it is covered with old landslide debris comprising boulders, gneissic rocks, and loose soil with a low bearing capacity. Look at the third point first. So what is happening? First you have earthquake prone area, then you have rivers, then if there is earthquake, there will be movement on the loose soil and it will lead to landslide. अब लैंडस्लाइड में क्या होता है, कहीं का मिट्टी आकर के कहीं रख दिया जाता है. सम अर्थ मूव्स, सो बेसिकली मूवमेंट ऑफ अर्थ सरफेस. सो ये लैंडस्लाइड का जो डेब्रिश है, जो मलबा है जिसमें बाउल्डर्स हैं, रॉक्स हैं, लूज सॉइल है, अब इसको कॉम्पैक्ट तो किया नहीं गया है. नाइदर इट हैज बीन लेफ्ट ओवर फॉर लेट्स से 100 years या 1000 years कि नेचुरली वो कॉम्पैक्ट हो जाए. तो अगेन इट विल बी हैविंग अ लो बेयरिंग कैपेसिटी. ठीक है. एक तो whatever we have discussed till now is basically the given geography in which this land is located. We are not at all entering into what anthropogenic activities are taking place. First of all, we have only discussed what is the challenges associated with its geographical features only. So four things are very important: earthquake prone area, a lot of landslides are there, mighty rivers with high gradient are flowing, and then you have low soil. Ab, just apply your common sense. Will you undertake a lot of infrastructural development in this area? You should not, technically. right? And if you undertake some developmental projects in those areas, it should be first based on a lot of studies कि वहाँ का soil कैसा है, वहाँ का compaction level कैसा है, what is the probability of earthquake in let's say 100 years, कहाँ पर fault lines possible है. Accordingly you will prepare the land use planning. Call it land use planning, how to use the land, where to construct the hydro power projects, where to not do it, where to concretize the land, where to do a lot of afforestation, where to not cut trees. These are all coming under land use planning. So you have to plan the land use accordingly, right? So ऐसा नहीं है कि यहाँ पहली बार ये घटना घट रही है. इस locality में there were different episodes also. So in 1976 there was a Mishra committee report, and which says that Joshimath lies on a deposit of sand and stone. You must have, or many of you might have gone to some sea beaches. You know what kind of loose sand is there. So whatever you will construct, it will get washed away very slowly, very quickly, right? So this is what is happening in this area. So this sinking is owing to man-made and natural factors both. So normally when the government will give its verdict or its statement, you will see they will focus only on natural factors. कि भाई इनका एरिया ही ऐसा है. It is Nirmala Sitharaman went to extend to say that it is a God sent crisis. Man made नहीं है COVID. God की बनाई गई दिक्कत है, तो we can't help it. So it is very convenient for law-making bodies and governmental agencies to disown the crisis. Disown से मतलब है आप अपना रोल नहीं देखना चाहते. But what is happening? Restrictions place करने के लिए मिश्रा कमेटी ने 1976 में ही कहा था, you don't undertake heavy construction work there. You don't do blasting of stones there and blasting of rocks there. You don't dig to remove boulders because the sand is not very, the soil is not very compacted. It is not well established in that area, right? So still, you know that there is a lot of developmental activities being done, and government itself many a times celebrates this. कि देखिए हमने प्रकृति को जीत लिया. We are reaching to every nook and corner of India. हमने बिजली पैदा कर दी, हमने वहां पे टूरिज्म को प्रमोट कर दिया. But nobody wants to go a step beyond and see whether the geography is ready to accept that burden or not, right? Whether the geography is ready to bear that burden. आपने हाईवे बनाए, so आपने उसके लिए पिलर्स बनाए होंगे, उतना मिलियंस ऑफ टन्स ऑफ कंक्रीट वहां पर आपने यूज किया. हाइडल पावर प्रोजेक्ट बनाए तो आपके उसके लिए डैम बनाए होंगे. डैम बनाने से you can just have a look, there is a lot of seismicity associated with dams also. Dam is basically what, a kind of water bomb. You store a lot of water deliberately at one place. जिस दिन भी earthquake आएगा, there will be small crack in the dam and the entire structure will be blown away. तो ऐसा ही तो बॉम्ब में होता है. So many a times environmentalists also look at these dams as water bombs which can explode anytime. So abhi this crisis is still unfolding. Keep a track of this. There is a lot of things which can be analyzed in this situation. So if possible थोड़ा आप लोग डाउन टू अर्थ को देख लेंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा. कुछ भी उनमें कमेंट आता है, और एक 1.5 पेज का अपना नोट्स बना लीजिए. इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो अभी के लिए हम यही कह सकते हैं, इट्स नीड टू बी टेक scientific studies more seriously, which clearly spell out the reasons for the current crisis. So it is not that government has been surprised. It can feign ignorance. It can say that, oops, what happened? We are not ready for it. But that is a falsity. You already knew that this was going to happen someday. And there are different environmentalists based in, Shekhar Pathak is there, Ravi Chopra is there in Dehradun. They have been writing and speaking about these kind of developmental projects a lot of times. So this Char Dham Yatra project that this Modi government brought, there was a committee which was established to study it. The chairperson of that committee, Ravi Chopra, decoupled himself. उन्होंने अपने आपसे आपको कमेटी से हटा लिया because कमेटी झूठा रिपोर्ट प्रिपेयर कर रही थी. You can just type on Google and read about Ravi Chopra's statement about this Joshimath crisis. So कुल जमा बात की ये है, at your level of preparation, you cannot afford to go too much deep. Just write this कि this disaster prone area should be studied well, and whatever reports are there, they should be respected. Ecologically suitable developmental model should be imagined, and community participation should be improvised. So ये ट्रेडिशनल वे ऑफ आंसर राइटिंग है. Another very important development that took place in this uh, last week was judicial verdict on demonetization. You know that it was a surprising decision by Modi government in sometime in October 2016, if I'm able to recall correctly. And then what happened? What was the sum and substance of this policy? There was an overnight ban on करेंसी नोट्स ऑफ डिनोमिनेशन 500 and 1000. रातों रात मोदी गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया कि कल से 12 बजे रात के बाद ये लीगल टेंडर नहीं रहेंगे. ठीक है, व्हाट इज लीगल टेंडर? जिसके बदले में आप मार्केट में ट्रांजैक्शन कर सकते हैं, नोबडी कैन डिनाई इट, राइट? सो यू नो दैट एवरीबडी सफर्ड. देयर इज नो नीड ऑफ एनी रिपोर्ट टू स्टडी. ऑल ऑफ अस सफर्ड एट पर्सनल लेवल्स. ये छोटे छोटे ट्रांजैक्शंस के लिए हमारे पास पैसे नहीं थे. We had to stand in long queues for 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours in front of the ATM, and we used to see that there is no cash. There was an upper limit on the cash, how much cash can be withdrawn from the system, and then people could not pay. Uh, we could not pay for small transactions, and because of which छोटे छोटे जो बिजनेस है इनके पास टेक्नोलॉजिकल एडवांसमेंट नहीं था. फोन पे आ रहा था उस समय, पेटीएम था थोड़ा बहुत, और इस तरह से उनके लिए बहुत दिक्कत हुई और छोटे छोटे व्यापारी तो मर गए. और बहुत से ऐसे लोग थे जिनका पैसा बर्बाद हुआ. ठीक है, एंड दे हैड टू स्टैंड इन द लाइन इन फ्रंट ऑफ द बैंक्स टू डिपॉजिट देयर notes and get in exchange. So there is a lot of different things, right, which happened. So it has been seen as a policy failure of Modi government in general, and none other than the RBI governor at that time, Raghuram Rajan, has been repeatedly saying that it was not a right move, it was not an informed move. RBI was not consulted enough before making this move by the government. And it is the statement of RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan. You can type on YouTube, you can look in the media, right? So, and what was the twin objectives at that time? कि हम black money को खत्म कर रहे हैं, right? Black money है तो organized crime rackets चलते हैं, उसकी वजह से काउंटरफीट करेंसी बहुत ज्यादा है, इससे टेरर फाइनेंसिंग होता है, तमाम तरह की चीजें हैं जिसको हमें चेक करना है. दिस वाज द पॉलिसी ऑब्जेक्टिव and demonetization was the step, right? So this was the government's version. आज तक गवर्नमेंट ये नहीं मानती है कि demonetization failed, because people came up with a lot of data that 99% currency was brought back into circulation. तो कौन सा black money आपने curtail किया? So इन सब चीजों को लेकर के this is the back story. There were petitions in the Supreme Court. 58 petitions were clubbed together. Now this happens many a times in judiciary that एक ही topic पर multiple people are giving petitions and similar kind of questions are being asked, then it clubs them and gives a joint hearing. एक ही साथ उन पर सुनवाई हो जाती है. So this is what happened. Now let's get some knowledge about judicial intercourse with this topic. So there was a 5 judges bench constituted for this. Now any bench can be there, but sometimes it is called a constitutional bench. ये ऑर्डिनरी मैटर्स को डील नहीं करता है, कुछ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल सिग्निफिकेंस की बात है. तो आर्टिकल 143 के अंदर सुप्रीम कोर्ट के चीफ जस्टिस को यह पावर है, इट कैन कॉन्स्टिट्यूट अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बेंच, बट देयर इज अ कैवियट दैट द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ दैट बेंच शुड बी मिनिमम 5 जजेस. 5 या ऊपर के जजेस होंगे तभी वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बेंच कहलाएगा, राइट? दिस वाज द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ द बेंच. And then what was there? The final verdict was 4:1. 4 people actually supported and approved demonetization, that it was a reasonable decision. उसने merit पर comment नहीं किया, अच्छा था बुरा था. So the sum of the judgment is that it was an executive decision. Executive means that wing of the government which is responsible for these decisions. Government जिसे हम ordinarily कहते हैं. Otherwise, there are 3 broader organs of a democratic system: executive, that is cabinet, minister, council of minister. You have judiciary, and then you have legislature. Legislature is parliament, right? So there is also a dictum of separation of power in Indian judiciary. कि हमारे यहाँ सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर है. जुडिशरी जाके एग्जीक्यूटिव का काम नहीं करेगी, एग्जीक्यूटिव जाके लेजिस्लेशन का काम नहीं करेगा, लेजिस्लेचर जाके जुडिशरी का काम नहीं करेगा. ब्रॉडली दिस इज देयर. बट देर आर सर्टेन ओवरलैप्स ऑल्सो, लेट्स नॉट गो इन टू दैट कहाँ पे ओवरलैप्स हैं। बट बेसिक बात यह है, जुडिशरी ने उसी सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर को इन्वोक किया, एंड इट्स सेड दैट इट्स एग्जीक्यूटिव डिसीजन। पॉलिसी बनाना सरकार का काम है, पॉलिसी बनाना जुडिशरी का काम नहीं है, एंड हेंस इट कैन नॉट बी रिवर्स्ड बाय द जुडिशियल वर्डिक्ट। हम वापस नहीं कर सकते उसको, ठीक है। लेकिन एक जज थे जिसे हम कहते हैं डिसेंटिंग जजमेंट। कभी कभी जैसे 5 जजेस बैठते हैं, नॉट नेसेसरी कि सब लोग एक तरह से ही सोचें, एक ही कंक्लूजन पर पहुंचे। सो जस्टिस बीवी नागरत्ना वाज देयर, अगेन इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, क्योंकि ये एक्सेप्शन है, इनका नाम याद रखने की जरूरत है। डिसेंटिंग जज का नाम हमेशा याद रखना चाहिए, ठीक है। सो जस्टिस बीवी नागरत्ना सेड दैट ये ठीक नहीं रहा, ये इन्फॉर्म्ड नहीं था या वाइज नहीं था, जो भी था, लेकिन उन्होंने भी इसको क्वैश करने की बात नहीं की कि आप इसको हटा दें, ठीक है। नाउ कम की बेसिस क्या था उनके जजमेंट का। सो बेसिकली दे यूज द डॉक्ट्राइन ऑफ प्रोपोर्शनैलिटी और द टेस्ट ऑफ प्रोपोर्शनैलिटी। प्रोपोर्शनैलिटी का क्या मतलब है कि देयर इज वन ऑब्जेक्टिव सॉर्ट, कि आप चाहते क्या है इस पॉलिसी से, दैट इज द ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ द पॉलिसी। एंड देन यू हैव पॉलिसी चॉइस, दैट इज व्हाट मेजर्स आर यू टेकिंग। ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या था, ब्लैक मनी को रोकना, टेरर फाइनेंसिंग को रोकना, काउंटरफीट करेंसी को सर्कुलेशन को रोकना, दिस आर अंडर ऑब्जेक्टिव सॉर्ट। And what is the measure taken by the government? Demonetization. Now, doctrine of proportionality says that there should be a reasonable nexus, ठीक है। और जिस प्रॉब्लम को आप सॉल्व करना चाहते हैं और जो स्टेप आप ले रहे हैं उसमें कुछ लॉजिकल कोहेरेंस होना चाहिए, राइट। एक बात यह है, दूसरी बात यह है कि प्रोपोर्शनल होना चाहिए। आप काउंटरफीट करेंसी को कटेल करना चाहते हैं लेट से, और उसके लिए आपने क्या किया, एक ऐसा पॉलिसी लाया जिससे 1 लाख लोग मर गए। सो दिस इज फेलिंग द डॉक्ट्राइन ऑफ प्रोपोर्शनैलिटी। आप ऐसा स्टेप नहीं ले सकती क्योंकि रीजनेबल नेक्सस नहीं है। आप कहते हैं ना कि दवा जो होगी वो प्रॉब्लम से ज्यादा ड्रास्टिक नहीं हो सकती है ना। अगर मैंने किसी को थप्पड़ मारा तो मुझे 10 साल की सजा नहीं हो सकती है, इट्स नॉट प्रोपोर्शनल। लेकिन हाँ, अगर मैंने किसी का ग्रीवियस मर्डर किया है, उसके पूरे टुकड़े टुकड़े कर दिए, उसको जंगल में डाल दिया, उसे कुत्तों को खिला दिया, तो मुझे लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट भी होना चाहिए और मुझे फांसी की सजा भी हो सकती है। सो दिस इज द सेंस। अगर किसी ने किसी का हेडफोन चुरा लिया या किसी ने किसी का लेट से 50 करोड़ चुरा लिया, तो दोनों में अंतर है ना। तो जो प्रॉब्लम है उसके ग्रेविटास पर ही योर सॉल्यूशन शुड डिपेंड। दैट इज द डॉक्ट्राइन ऑफ प्रोपोर्शनैलिटी। सो इन दिस केस उन्होंने कहा कि डॉक्ट्राइन ऑफ प्रोपोर्शनैलिटी के हिसाब से सरकार ठीक है, उन्होंने कोई गलत काम नहीं किया। तीसरा उन्होंने जो कहा, जो थोड़ा कंटेंशियस, इट सेज कि ऐसा नहीं है कि आरबीआई के साथ कंसल्टेशन नहीं हुआ था, because in many various and many of the petitions it was claimed that RBI was not involved in this decision making, and RBI is the expert body, you know this, we have been discussing for the last many sessions that it is bank of the bankers, banker of the last resort, chief federal bank of India, so many things are saying about RBI. But it says that no, there was 6 month long consultation between government and RBI, right? So this is what happened in the judgment. उन्होंने एक बात और कही which is a very ambiguous kind of statement that we are not going to see whether आपने वो objective finally attain किया कि नहीं. Now there is a difference. Court is saying that there is a nexus, reasonable nexus between what you are trying to do, what you are trying to achieve, and what step have you taken. But we are not going to see कि आपने ultimately उसको achieve किया कि नहीं. So court said this, that we are not giving any verdict on the sufficiency of this policy or the success of this policy step. ये किस हद तक कामयाब हुआ इसके बारे में हम कुछ नहीं कहेंगे, लेकिन इन दोनों स्टेप के बीच, डिमोनेटाइजेशन और ब्लैक मनी को रोकने के बीच एक रिलेशन तो है, ये कोर्ट ने बोला. सो आई होप आई एम एबल टू कन्वे टू यू what happened in this judgment, and this is clear to you how RBI is functioning and how government is functioning in these matters. Associated with this discussion, I would say that you should read about entire changes which this government has brought till since Modi government came into power, और क्या क्या स्टेप उन्होंने लिए. There has been a long history of is changing relation between government और executive and RBI. बहुत जगह आरबीआई को कहा गया कि आप इतने पैसे दे दो, आप सरकार को इतना लोन दे दो जो कि एक लिमिट से ज्यादा है. सो आई वुड से कि इट्स एन अपॉर्चुनिटी कि आप आरबीआई के बारे में और अच्छे से रिवाइज कर लें. दिस इज वन ऑफ द अप्रोच ऑफ ऑल्सो रीडिंग करंट अफेयर्स, दैट यू शुड एबल टू पिक अप व्हाट इज इन डिबेट, और जहां जहां से क्वेश्चंस आ सकते हैं, है ना. क्यों आपसे पूछा जाएगा कि रेपो रेट क्या होता है? देयर इज नो पॉइंट इन आस्किंग, इट्स वेरी सिंपल. दे मे आस्क कि जैसे उन्होंने मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी बनाई, या उन्होंने आरबीआई में अमेंडमेंट अगर कोई किया है, या रघुराम राजन क्या पॉइंट्स उठाते रहे हैं एग्जीक्यूटिव के विजवी, और किस तरह से आरबीआई का से कम हो गया फाइनेंशियल मैटर्स में, किस तरह से एग्जीक्यूटिव की तरफ पावर शिफ्ट हो रहा है. देयर आर सो मेनी थिंग्स. और किस तरह से जब शशिकांत दास आए, और यू ऑल्सो सो दैट a lot of people resigned from RBI, but they said कि हमारे पर्सनल रीजन से हम रिजाइन कर रहे हैं. देयर वाज अ लॉट ऑफ गवर्नमेंट प्रेशर ऑन देम टू रिजाइन बिकॉज उनकी आइडियोलॉजी सरकार से मैच नहीं कर रही थी. सो आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू अ पॉसिबल क्लू कि किस किस तरह से आप इसको बैंकिंग सेक्टर को जब रिवाइज करेंगे, यू शुड कीप दिस थिंग्स माइंड. सो दैट्स इट फ्रॉम माय साइड. आई होप आज हमने एक अलग तरीके से थोड़ा डिस्कस किया है. Two topics we have taken and discussed in greater detail. Unfortunately, I'm not able to see your live comments today. Otherwise, I would have interacted with all of you. So maybe after the videos goes not live, then you can probably comment and let me know how did you like this session and what more you would like to know. Thank you so